Transport Canada and Code for Canada presentation. Let's get started. My name is Fatima and I'm the lead developer from Code for Canada. With me here on stage, as you heard, is Jeannie Stewart Smith.
Bonjour, hi everyone. Je suis conseillère en politique avec l'équipe à Transport Canada qui s'occupe des drones. And I would just like to clarify that we don't actually allow tasers on drones in Canada, so rest assured that we're good to go.
So we're here to talk to you about something really exciting. Drones are becoming a really common household item. And we're also here to introduce you to Geraldine. Geraldine is an Instagram influencer and photographer, and they recently bought a drone. While drones are used for a lot of really cool and maybe dangerous things, Geraldine really wants to take photos from the sky. They happen to live in the beautiful Ottawa River and explore the Ontario countryside. They want to take their drone with them on their travels so they can take some cool aerial shots like these.
And Geraldine is not alone. Au cours des 5 dernières années, les drones destinés au grand public ont fait irruption sur le marché de la technologie consommateur. What that means is today, almost 1 in 5 Canadians either owns a drone or has flown one. Drones have become a must-have tech toy and an essential tool for businesses.
And drones can literally let you see the world in a new way. They can be used to deliver medical supplies to congested cities or remote areas, or to inspect really tall things like cell towers and really long things like pipelines. They can also help our first responders safely and quickly inspect an area before moving in. But the vast majority of our drone pilots are interested in flying for fun.
Et très rapidement, à Transport Canada, nous nous sommes retrouvés avec un tout nouveau groupe d'utilisateurs. Faire voler un drone est devenu plus attrayant pour un plus grand nombre de personnes. But all of this new activity brings with it some new risks.
Drones can pose a huge risk to people on the ground. Imagine if a wildly out-of-control chunk of metal falls from a height and hits you in the face. That's pretty dangerous.
Sorry, I love that video. Having a bunch of new things flying around the sky also poses a risk to aviation. If you think back to the Miracle on Hudson in 2009, birds took out both engines on a plane carrying 155 people. Now in that case, the captain was able to land the plane safely and everyone on board was fine. But it's really not hard for us to imagine an alternative ending. Les drones présentent un risque semblable, mais les drones sont faits de matériaux durs et de batteries, ce qui n'est pas le cas pour les oiseaux. En conséquence, les dommages qui peuvent être causés sont différents. So to mitigate some of these risks, we needed to put in place some new rules. On June 1st of this year, just a couple of weeks ago, we introduced new drone safety regulations.
In February, we ran a survey where we found that 64% of drone pilots in Canada didn't know that these new regulations were coming in. So Transport Canada had to figure out a way to talk to these people in a way that they would understand.
I used to have Air Canada and WestJet on my speed dial, but now I have to get in touch with Geraldine, and I just don't know how. I don't have her phone number, I don't have her email address, and even if I did, there are probably hundreds and thousands of Geraldines out there. C'était évident que nous avons besoin d'une nouvelle approche pour communiquer avec les Canadiens et avec les pilotes de drones, une approche plus accessible et plus moderne. And so, we brought in our Code for Canada partners to help us help drone pilots.
As Code for Canada fellows, our mission was to build a product that makes it easier for these recreational drone pilots to fly more safely and in accordance with the regulations. We started off our project with user research, and we talked to a lot of people. Our conversations with our stakeholders told us about how the regulations were developed, and what kinds of tools were being built for drone pilots to use. We also conducted one-on-one, in-depth interviews with drone pilots across Canada to learn more about their needs. What did they find challenging, what was most exciting, and what was most frustrating?
The drone pilots we talked to were from a huge range of backgrounds, from first responders to a single mother. Mais un bon nombre d'entre eux s'intéressaient surtout aux drones pour prendre des photos et des vidéos. And we had a special challenge with this project. We were introducing new rules at the same time we were trying to do user research. So it was really hard, actually it was impossible, to find anybody who had interacted with our new rules. Cependant, il était très important pour notre équipe de comprendre les réactions des gens aux nouveaux règlements. Et donc, l'équipe de Code for Canada sont devenus eux-mêmes pilotes de drone.
So we became our users. We called this an immersion study, and it helped us better understand what Geraldine would go through if they bought a drone and wanted to fly. I went to Best Buy, bought a drone, and tried to figure out what I had to do this legally. And I did get through the process, but I wasn't entirely sure that I was doing it right.
After we talked to our stakeholders, our drone pilots, our flight schools, and the fellows became drone pilots themselves, it became very clear to us that we were hearing the same thing over and over again. How do I do what it is that you want me to do? People were really struggling with taking those rules and applying them to real-life scenarios.
So we mapped out the process from unboxing your drone to going out to fly. And there's a lot more to the process than listed here, but we did notice that our users had the hardest time with step 3, site survey, or surveying the area, which is a really important part of pre-flight planning.
L'examen des lieux consiste à trouver un endroit où vous pourrez faire voler votre drone en toute sécurité. So you need to make sure, when you're flying a drone, that you're far away from airports, you're far away from other aircraft, you're far away from people, as we saw in my favorite video earlier, and that there aren't big obstacles you could crash into, and that the weather is not going to mess with your flight. We decided to focus on the site survey as a key point in the user journey that would give us an opportunity to really educate our users. Si nous pouvons amener les gens à réfléchir à l'endroit et au moment où ils feront voler leur drone, et à bien comprendre pourquoi ces questions sont importantes, ils seront sur la bonne voie.
Throughout our research process, we built multiple prototypes, and then we went and tested them with users, like at Civic Tech Toronto. And we found out from doing this testing that we were learning things very quickly and very fast. For example, in our early days, we thought that our drone pilots would want a checklist tool, so they could complete this site survey in the field. But we were wrong.
Drone pilots told us that they did not understand how to complete a site survey, and many of them didn't even know what the regulatory text meant. They needed to be taken through the process step by step. Nous avons donc établi notre vision de produit, qui consistait à créer un outil éducatif.
So we built the Drone Companion as an educational tool that's mobile first. We rewrote those regulations in plain language so people could understand what they meant. And we built this tool in a way that was reusable, so it could apply to other regulations that also needed guidance.
Et maintenant, nous sommes heureux de vous montrer, plutôt que simplement vous dire, l'outil qu'on a créé.
To walk you through the demo, I'd like to bring you back to Geraldine. It's summer, and they want to take some pictures with their drones. Our app will help them figure out exactly what they need to do to complete the site survey so they can go out and fly.
The first insight we gained from our users was that there was no reliable single source of information to help them become safe drone pilots. And when they were looking for that information, they were either not finding it, or when they did find it, they found it confusing and overwhelming. Comme vous pouvez voir, les informations sont assez compliquées et même écrasantes.
So we made it easier for our drone pilots by putting all of that information in one place. Now, Geraldine can tackle it one at a time and knows that they can get everything they need in one application.
The second insight we gained was that users had challenges applying the rules in their real lives. Ils savaient quoi faire, mais pas comment le faire.
So poetic.
So people had trouble taking this, so the actual regulatory text that requires you to do a site survey. They had trouble figuring out what that meant for them and the way they wanted to fly their drone.
So we created a step-by-step interface. And if Geraldine doesn't know how to act on this step, we also provide some guidance. We tell them more information, how they can do it best, and why it's important. The tool is also available in French, so they can talk the language at any time if they better understand French.
Nicely timed. Nos utilisateurs n'étaient pas certains qu'ils répondaient correctement aux exigences. They are doing their absolute best, but they aren't feeling good about what they're doing, and they really aren't sure that it is good enough.
We wanted our drone pilots to have a sense of completion about the site survey, but also a sense of confidence. And we did that by giving them a pre-quiz before every task and a post-quiz after the task is complete. So now Geraldine can feel really good about what they already knew coming into a task, and then feel even better about what they learned finishing the task. Let's press the cake.
ce qu'on a aujourd'hui n'est encore qu'un prototype, nous avons constaté qu'il est possible de faire une différence importante pour les utilisateurs en leur offrant une nouvelle façon de comprendre les règles.
We're keen to use this approach to apply to other regulations and other users at Transport Canada and beyond.
And we're already seeing a lot of really positive results from taking new approaches. For example, the department's first Twitter chat reached more than 2 million user accounts. We get more than 40,000 hits a month on our interactive map that's for drone pilots to figure out where they can fly. And that's pretty high for Government of Canada websites and particularly for Transport Canada. So our jobs colleagues told me they do better.
But everyone wants jobs.
Ultimately, we want people like Geraldine to have a good experience with government. We want them to feel confident that they're flying their drone safely, and we ultimately want them to have fun and be able to do what it is they want to do with their drone.
The best part of this project for me and what was most exciting was that drone pilots can be as young as 14 years old, and this may as well be their first experience with government. And if our product can make this experience engaging, exciting, and even pleasant, well, that's amazing, because that's their takeaway from their first ever government process.
And as a public servant, oh boy, that's even bigger. Being a core member of the Code for Canada team was a huge learning experience for me. It was this big. It was really amazing for me to be able to live this experience, to be able to see what it means to apply those buzzwords in your real life. So being agile, working out in the open, user-centered research, iteration, and so much more. It wasn't always comfortable. Fatima has a knack for catching pictures like this of me doing ridiculous things at work. But that's kind of the point. The point is that learning isn't always comfortable, and you kind of need to push your boundaries and really get outside of your comfort zone to be doing something new. Donc, Transport Canada est très enthousiaste à l'idée de tirer parti de cette expérience et de continuer à intégrer de nouvelles façons de travail dans notre quotidien.
In closing, I want to acknowledge that this project was made possible by the efforts of many, many, many people at Transport Canada, but most specifically by the Digital Service Directorate and the Remotely Piloted Aircraft Systems Task Force.
Also known as the drone team in plain language.
And if I could take a moment and dedicate this presentation on behalf of my team to my father who passed away 2 months ago and wasn't able to see the end of my dream fellowship. And we have a couple more people to thank.
Yeah, just one more very big special thank you, un très grand merci to the rest of the core team, the Digital Drone Collective, Olivier, Wei Guang, Andy, and Jen. Thank you so much. Merci à tous.